Hey y'all, hi. Just a cute little fun, quick, relaxing video today. Trying some what I think are kind of hyped products that I found at Sephora. There's a lawnmower outside. We're just going to proceed. It's casual today. If you happen to be new, welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah. I make some sort of essayistic, highly produced videos about fashion and beauty, and I make some really relaxed beauty content, which is what this is. And I also am a published poet. My prize-winning book of poetry will be linked at the top of the description box down below. Let's get into the meat of the video. This always happens. I sit down to film and my lips are so dry. I'm like, I should put on a lip balm or something. And then I remember that I'm going to be testing a lip product, usually some sort of moisturizing lip elixir, you know? And I'm like, well, I don't want to put it on moisturized lips. I want to put it on dry lips so that we'll be able to see the effect. But then I'm sitting down like totally parched and wretched looking to start the video. Frankly, I rushed through the intro so that I could get to this moment. Makeup Forever Super Boost Moisturizing Plumping Effect Lip Gloss. When I was in Sephora physically last month, picking up one last product to add to my Isamea makeup review, which is already up, has been up for ages, and I'll link it in the cards and down below. I asked some of the women at the front of the store who were helping me find the product that I needed what they were excited about. I was like, what are you really excited about in beauty right now? I just kind of wanted to know what young Sephora employees are interested in right now, in real life, in real time, in person. And the first one of them to answer my question picked this. She was like, the Makeup Forever new moisturizing lip balm or whatever, lip gloss, I guess. It's a gloss, but I really feel like it's being sold as a makeup skincare hybrid. And this is in the iconic Makeup Forever shade Wherever Walnut. The first thing I notice is that it has a kind of medical smell, kind of a medicinal smell, menthol with a hint of like scented plastic doll from your childhood. It's an unusual scent and I kind of like it. And it's pretty faint too. I feel like they didn't try really hard to make it smell strongly of something. It's just this faint kind of natural to the product smell and sort of taste. It also feels a little mentholy on the lips, so that might be where some of that medicinal smell is coming from. The second thing I notice is that the color is promisingly neutral. I'm familiar with Wherever Walnut because I used to have the lip pencil in Wherever Walnut and I absolutely loved it. It's exactly my lips but better. And I know that it has continued to be my friend Lauren's pretty much favorite lip pencil for years, Lauren May Beauty. I would buy it again for sure if I needed a lip pencil. I just have other ones. I've been more into like really cool toned and darker browns lately. For a color that's really just duping the color of my actual lips, Wherever Walnut is really neutral. It's not too pink, it's not too orange or too yellow. And this gloss is exactly that. I mean, it's pigmented, but it looks like a clear gloss on me. It really is the color of my lips and I love that. I like the shape of this funky applicator with the really pointy tip. I would love to see this in other products, even things with more pigment, because you can get a really fine line. The gloss itself, it's a little thick, it's a little tingly, a little bit minty feeling, a little bit plumping feeling, plumping effect. Feels a little thick and sticky for my tastes. It's definitely traditional lip gloss vibes, but it also feels very nourishing. It's giving me skincare. It's giving me like skincare energy, and that means that I will reach for it more. I'll be more excited to use it. The neutrality of it means that I'm going to be really excited to use it to finish makeup looks. Obviously, this is the first impressions, but it's promising. I don't have anything on my skin except for skincare, but I did want to tell you, I got this sunscreen, which I learned about in a comment. So thank you so much to the person who commented and told me about this. It's a 100% mineral sunscreen, which is what I prefer. And it's a red color correcting SPF 50, a very, very green product. When I first opened it, I wish I had captured this on camera. I wanted to wear it because I've been going outside more than I used to. I've been getting some laser facials, and so I feel like I really need to start wearing sunscreen absolutely every day and not just like when I remember, when I'm going to be outside for a long period of time, but just all the time. So I wanted to find a sunscreen that I could comfortably incorporate completely into my morning skincare routine without even thinking about it. This was a good candidate. I wanted to use it when it had first arrived. I opened it, and as I was pumping it up and it was like priming the pump, I was like, please be really green. Please be really, really green. Because I was worried that it was just going to look green, but not actually color correct. So I was like, please be green, please be green, please be green. And then the pump came out, the squirt of it came out, and I was like, whoa. I was standing there alone in my room like, whoa, because it's really green. It's like fluorescent green. Now, it does become somewhat transparent when it's rubbed in. Like, it's not chalky. And, you know, obviously I myself cannot attest to whether this wouldn't leave a white cast on somebody with darker skin than I have, but it really seems like it's formulated to be like a clear green rather than the sort of semi-opaque green that is kind of what I prefer for a color corrector. But given that it's a sunscreen, I can totally understand why they would do that. And it does do some light color correcting. So I really, really, really like it. This is like my dream product. Pretty easy to wear, serum-y, very high SPF. That's very green, that's color correcting, that's meant for redness. It's expensive, but it's totally worth it to me. This is a really important skincare step that I've been kind of hit or miss about for far too long. So I have on some basic skincare. I have that on. I'm going to add another layer of priming with this. The other products that I'm exploring in this video, I purchased specifically for this video. I've placed a Sephora order of products that I felt fit the brief of being like a little bit hyped and me kind of wanting to know about them. But this just happened to come in the mail from Iris&Romeo. I don't know if it's hyped. It's hyped to me because it's like exactly the kind of product that I like from a brand that has delivered some serves lately, honestly. The really giant tube of lip Cocoon is everything to me. I wish I had it on me. I don't though, because it's downstairs like on the bedside table. It's something that I'm always looking for. I like carry it around with me. So it's not up here in the workspace. And I also really love the chestnut lip Cocoon in the pot. So when I saw they had made a skin Cocoon, I was intrigued. It looks very clear, moisturizing, feels pretty watery. Like it's not a very thick, intense. I understand why they use the word oil. A luxurious cream to oil serum that cocoons your skin. That's exactly what it feels like. Cocoons your skin in an intense hydration and moisture barrier protection. So this is exactly the kind of thing that I love for priming, like a last step in a skincare routine, first step in the makeup routine product. And because I have that SPF on, I'm just pressing one pump spread onto my fingers gently onto my skin. So I actually went back for another pump. A little bit went a pretty decent long way, but the pumps are pretty small. It only pumps out a little bit at a time, which I think is good because it helps me check myself before I wreck myself. So I ended up using like 1.5 to 2. It's left a beautiful finish. Did not disturb the SPF or whatever else was underneath it at all. I mean, it's playing very well with what else is on my skin, and it's giving me like a nice tacky but not sticky or dubious finish. That to me is a very promising product. The very definition of a hyped product new at Sephora. I feel like all my friends on Instagram have been using this and been like, whoa. You know, the question is about shade. Like, is the shade gonna work for me? It's shade 1 of the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Gel Tint. Not Tint. Not Tint. Tint. Now, what everybody's saying is they're surprised by how pigmented it is for a tint. So that was what pushed me over the edge to try it in this video. And also, Becca, my friend Becca Sun on Instagram, tried this on camera. Oh, the lawnmower stopped. Hopefully forever. It looked so stunning on her skin. It looked like she was painting on, I mean, her skin is already pretty much perfect, so she has that going for her. But it looked like she was painting on. It looked like she was photoshopping her skin as she was applying it. You know, it just got me, okay? I mean, I know there is no makeup product that truly does that, even if it looks like it on camera. It just got me, and I was already thinking about this video, and I was like, I'm gonna put the milk thing in, okay? So that's what we're doing here. Just put these nails on. They're a little longer than the ones I've been wearing. You can do it. I really want the shade to be appropriate. This is the moment of truth. Okay, maybe. A very tiny little hole in the tip of this squeeze tube. It's interesting. It's not really giving tint. It's not in a dropper. It's pretty thick. It has a kind of melting, settling gel quality that makes me understand why they're calling it a gel tint instead of like a foundation, but it's squeezed out a little bit thick. It looks pale enough for me and just a little bit on the peach side. That's my first impression of the shade. Let's see how it goes on the skin. Okay, first of all, a little bit is not really going a long way. I used that entire little short worm that I squeezed out just to cover basically the lower part of my cheek right here, just to cover here. So I put it all on with my finger and blended it out right there. Definitely medium coverage. I can still see kind of my scarring through it. it. The color's gonna be okay. It's like not perfect because I like a complexion product to have enough gray and green in it to really make it look like my actual skin rather than just kind of brightening and evening. You know what I mean? I like it to be this like greenish gray. Not my favorite. It's doable as makeup for me. Went on really wet looking, like really looking like a gel. And now it's sort of setting down and kind of, it remains to be seen what sort of finish it will give and what kind of longevity it will have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the application on this entire half of my face so you can really see a side by side. I'm especially curious to know what it'll look like underneath my eye. And I'm going to use a brush actually because it's my preferred method. The Refer LC03, which is the brush that I've been using to apply complexion products for a couple months now. Okay, wow. It went on really easily with the brush, just as good as with the hands. In fact, I might have gotten a little more mileage out of it than I did with my hands. It's really kind of starting to sell itself to me. Wow, I was prepared to not like this because it's hyped on social media. I'm seeing it on Reels. It looks like, I don't know, people who have like better skin than I have or tend to have different routines or different makeup preferences. I sort of thought it wasn't going to be a good fit and I was worried about the color. However, the color's kind of working. It really is giving tint in that I feel like I can put it all over. I usually use concealer instead of foundation, instead of a skin tint. I usually just use concealer. And so I just use it judiciously to kind of conceal the parts of my face that have redness. And so it's sort of like this piecemeal operation where I'm just putting a little bit here and a little bit there because it's kind of full coverage and I don't want to just totally blank out my skin. This feels enough like a tint in coverage level for me to be able to just put it all over my face in kind of a thin wash and for it not to make my skin look too unnaturally blanked out. Like my skin still looks kind of alive. You know, it still looks like skin over here. And I really like that. Also, it's giving a very skincare finish. It feels like, here's what it feels like. Very heavily pigmented skincare. Very heavily pigmented sort of gel moisturizer, but it doesn't feel like the pigment is suspended in a lotion and just streaky the way that's how I remember the ColourPop skin tint feeling. It's not like that. It's like pigmented enough to really hold its own. I can't actually get over right now the way that my skin looks on this side. I really, really like it. How's it going to wear throughout the day? That's kind of the question. I have been into the Lisa Eldridge skin tint, especially because the color's so great. So I've been using this a lot. This is my first real skin tint love. The first skin tint that's actually suited me, and it's partly the color and it's also that it's pretty high pigment, but it has a very soft, almost velvety blurred finish, whereas this has a very freshly applied skincare finish. That's really exciting me right now. I'm gonna get the other half of my skin caught up. Wow, what an interesting product. It really feels different from other things. It feels kind of thick going on, almost sticky in the way that it spreads. So I kind of have to work to spread it out. A little bit doesn't go a long way. Again, I kind of had to keep going back with it. It makes me wonder how long the tube would last if someone was using it a lot every day and really depending on it. It's 1 ounce, the tube. I can see my heavy scars through it or my healing blemishes through it, but they've really been softened, honestly, to the point where I would feel comfortable just going out like this, especially on a pretty casual day where I wasn't wearing any other makeup. That makes this, I think, a really good candidate for people who don't wear a lot of makeup. Like it makes it a very attractive product just on the market in general. The look that I feel like I have now with it all over my face is I look like I've just applied my skincare and no other makeup, but I'm having a really good skin day. Like my redness is gone. My skin is really clear, fresh, and bright feeling. And I've put on a lot of skincare and I masked last night. The texture is very clear, almost a little bit highlighted because of all of the glossiness. A little bit of redness and unevenness is still showing through. The spots are there, but overall the impression is of healthy, glowy skin. And I live for that. I'd rather have healthy, glowy skin with blemishes and some redness than really kind of dry looking, suspiciously homogeneous skin where everything is just completely pasted over and blanked out. I feel like the tiniest bit of spot concealing, which I'm actually going to do with this Natasha Denona concealer because I still can't find my NARS. The tiniest bit of spot concealing and I have like my dream complexion kind of. This is wild. This is the second skin tint or purported skin tint in as many months that has impressed me enough to make me want to use it again the next day and the next day after that. Like it's made me so excited that I feel like I'm going to put it straight into my everyday makeup bag. The first one was the Lisa Eldridge. And this is after years, what feels like a lifetime of being allured by products that are marketed as skin tints and then never, ever having them work. Like never, ever, ever never finding one that works for me. And then here we go, 2 months in a row, 2 different skin tints, and both of them are like dream products for me. Just, it's like the same dream product, but just with slightly different finishes. I wish this one came in a pale olive. Like I wish this was a very olive undertone instead of just being kind of the generic, really peachy, super pale, but I will be able to make it work, especially with some green color corrector and some spot concealing. I mean, honestly, it's really exciting. Maybe skin tints are starting to become more serious makeup, like beefier, give us more coverage. The skin tint market is starting to diversify in terms of its formula. We're starting to think outside the box. Or maybe brands are just starting to market fuller coverage products that would previously have been called foundation as skin tint, because skin tint is and continues to be all the rage. Both of these products in a past life, like in the past life of the beauty world, might have just been called foundation, but they're being called skin tint now. And they have that balance of kind of ease of use, medium pigment, and like stick-to-itiveness and decent coverage that I require from a product like this. I'm not familiar with Milk. That's the other thing. I have not really tried very much with Milk makeup. I'm not a Milk makeup girly. It's like Well Met by Moonlight, proud Titania. Well Met by Moonlight, proud Milk makeup. All right, I guess this is the last thing I have, but this is, to me, it's a big one. This isn't new, but there are new colors. And this is a brand and a product that you all have been begging me to try. The packaging is different. I thought these were both new colors, but maybe I'm wrong. In any case, Violette FR. So Violette, the makeup artist, incredibly beautiful, very chic, intimidatingly amazing. You know, she has released her own makeup line and did a while back. It's been in the works for a while. It's been out there for a while. It's now available at Sephora. That makes it a little bit more accessible and spurred me to review it. However, it's not just that. It's that lots of you have been like, review Violette FR. We want to see what you have to say, blah, 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 blah. And then I've gone to the site before and been like, oh, I should review some of these products. It's like the colors don't suit me or something. I can't with the products. Everything's just a little bit off of what I would want it to be. And so I wasn't ever able to put together a cart of products from the brand that I was really excited about. It's like the balm looked like it would be too balmy. The eye shadows were all these like colors that either they were really matte or really painterly or just too warm for me. Like the coppers looked too warm. We seemed just like slightly misaligned. The BISOU blush, matte cream blush, I didn't like any of the colors initially. I didn't like any of the colors. They were all just those sort of down the middle, bright, primary adjacent colors. Nothing brown, nothing pale enough for me. So that's why I haven't reviewed the brand before. This color expansion, everything looks so beautiful. And I know people really love it. The thing that everyone really wanted me to try was the lip, the matte balm there's like a very light shade. But I've looked and looked and looked at pictures of that and swatches, and it really looks like it would go quite pink on me. It looks neutral, really neutral on a lot of the models. But then if you look at it on the palest models, or if you look at it swatched next to other things, it looks like it's got a lot more pink pigment in it than it seems like it would on most of the models. And I know myself, and I've seen makeup look like that and then gotten it on myself and it's been really pink so many times that I haven't been willing to risk it. So maybe if you have in-person experience with that, you can tell me otherwise. This time around, when I went to Sephora and I went to the Violette FR page, the products that truly allured me, that made me think, ooh, maybe that would actually work for me, I really do have an interest in that, were these new colors of the BISOU blush, Marnie and Louise. So here's Marnie, it's the bronzer basically, and Louise is the other one. Louise is looking very beautiful, very promising, almost like a watery, pale, neutral pink. Like that looks really good to me. Marnie is looking very warm in person, like very orange in person. And even though I'm a bronzer girly now, I don't know how that's gonna go. We'll start with Louise, okay? This is a Sigma brush that I just dug out. It is the Soft Angled Cheek, the F43. This is a very natural, easy to wear blush for me, and I really, really like it. It will almost look like nothing. If I don't apply very much, it just adds a little bit of structure and color back without really looking like blush, and that's really hard for me to find. So I'm very, very pleased with that. I'm gonna build it up. That's just kind of like one layer. I'm gonna build it up to see what I can get it to do. Okay, I built it up and I thought it was going a little strawberry shortcake to begin with, but then it mellowed out to sort of a pretty natural pink because I've gotten some sun. So I really think that I will be using this. It smells like soap. It smells like a scented soap, but specifically like a scented soap and not just the scent of that soap. Like a slightly floral scented soap. Not bad, not offensive. I'm a little bit loath to go in with Marnie. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm going to treat it like a bronzer. I'm putting it directly onto the brush. Okay, so applying this really as a bronzer, like trying to use it to bronze up my face. It didn't end up looking as orange as it looked when it was on my hand. It might be because there was a little bit of the pink from the other blush left over on the brush. It might be because of this kind of semi-sheer quality that the formula seems to have. It says it's a matte cream blush that melts into skin and creates a natural, fresh-faced flush. It's swirled with pigment to deliver a multi-dimensional wash of color, but it doesn't say anything about it being kind of a balm weight. It is kind of a matte balm, a balm weight blush, and it almost feels like it's a more pigmented formula swirled with a less pigmented formula so that you really see the skin through it. Like you can really, really see my skin through it, and that's making it look less orange than it looked when it was super built up. Might also be because the red undertones do sort of mimic a natural flush. In any case, I feel like it was a little touch and go, but it ended up kind of working. And I put it all over my face, like all over the cheek, on the nose, bridge of the nose, forehead, a little bit on the chin, a little bit on the sides. And I even managed to buff it into my neck and use it to sort of warm up my neck and make my whole complexion look a little bit healthier. So I'm not mad at that. It took a little bit of work. I still feel a little bit leery of it. This one, the shade Marnie, I will continue to try to use it. I could see it potentially growing on me. However, the one that feels like it's going to leap right into my hand tomorrow morning when I'm applying my makeup is the other one, the shade Louise. Okay, those are all of the hyped products from Sephora that I'm testing today. I really like the look that I ended up with because the addition of that kind of bronzing level of blush application, it removed some of the spot conceal. You can really see the unevenness in my skin, like see a little blemish peeking through here and there. I just have ended up looking like not that made up. And I like that. It feels really natural. It feels like it looks really natural and lived in, and I'm all about that these days. I will say the lip gloss, it still feels very lip glossy. It feels a little bit thick. The thickness of it has made me kind of self-conscious talking throughout this video, so it's more makeup than skincare. I thought looking at it and looking at the launch information, I felt like it was going to be more of a skincare product. It really feels like a makeup product, like a old-fashioned lip gloss that is very technologically sound. Like it's like makeup technology has improved and it's fine-tuned and it has a lot of skincare in it, but it feels like makeup. I love the color and I love the look. I wanted to give that's sort of my verdict on it at this point. I tend more to want skincare that has some makeup qualities rather than makeup that has some skincare qualities, which is what that is. The skin tint, I was totally blown away by. Oh, I forgot about the skin prep, the Iris&Romeo. Very excited to keep using this, but it could have been partly this. However, I feel like it's more the skin tint. That means that I've been left with quite a drenched looking face. Like my skin really looks glossy and drenched. This is supposed to be a matte blush, the BISOU blush from Violet FR, and it's not reading as matte on me. It's reading as like a gel cream blush, but I feel quite confident that that's because of the Milk Hydro Grip gel tint, the finish of that just pushing through, and it could even be going down to the level of the Iris&Romeo Skin Cocoon, which has a really similar, super fresh, dewy, skincare-y finish. So the two of these together really like doubled down on the dewiness, and nothing else could push back against that. Like nothing could survive that. So I'm curious to know what these two will be like on their own individually, but both of them felt really promising and exciting to me. And then I am curious to know what the Violet FR blush will be like when I don't have such an incredibly drenched and dewy complexion. However, I will say that the blush was able to hold its own, even though the skincare and the skin coverage was so dewy. Yeah, my skin doesn't feel too sticky. You know, it doesn't feel like I've got a lot of makeup all over my skin. Like, how is this gonna wear? You know, if I'm like pressing my face against toddlers and stuff, just the one toddler. If I do this all day, like how's it gonna wear? That was my wear test. Not bad, right? I didn't really get that much of it on my hands. It looks a little bit blotchier, but overall, like still good. And it doesn't feel too precious the way that I feel like products like this can kind of leave me looking like photo shoot ready with a super dewy plumped skin, but feeling like I have to wash it all off or it's just gonna get on everything as soon as I start living my life. Doesn't really feel like that. maybe a little bit of powder. I would be inclined to put this on and then use like finishing powder. Yeah, it looks like it would take powder pretty well. You know, I had just pressed my palms all over it, but it looks like it would take powder pretty well. Overall, this is the thing that I'm the most excited to continue using. It's the thing that I thought that I would dislike the most. It was the wildest card out of all of these. Thank you for spending this time with me. What a pleasure to be here with you. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.